Let's begin with the first question and answer session. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible. Therefore, we ask that only one question be asked per phone call and that these questions be as brief as possible. You may call the studio directly at the phone or fax numbers which appear on your screen, including the ITC iPhone number 688-1700. We'll remind you to make your phone calls at a distance from the monitor to avoid feedback. So do we have first question? All right. Let me ask you the first question that was faxed in, as a matter of fact. The question is, what can I do to recommend or convince my boss to learn about benchmarking?
Oh, good question, actually. First, I'd do a little research. Identify a company or an organization within your industry who has used benchmarking with success, and you can do that by local contacts, getting on the web, etc., and put together a briefing paper for your boss, and if necessary, be prepared to be able to set up a meeting between a manager or an executive from that organization with your boss. You might give them my book too, or any other book on benchmarking, and encourage them to read it.
Okay, great, thank you. The second question is also faxed in from Lima, Peru. And the second question is, what is the difference between what you call mindshare and marketing research?
Actually, very little. The difference is what the objective is. In mindshare, the objective is to identify what the customer wants, what their expectations are, how they view you, how they view your competitors, and to respond to that in terms of meeting their expectation, as opposed to the classic marketing research process of taking comparable data and using it in order to build advertising or shelf planning strategies.
Okay, our next question comes from Mexico. Go ahead, please.
Calling from the University Tecnológica de Tecámac. And my question is, how can we change our clients' opinion after they've had a bad service in the past and with another management? And how can we recover these clients maybe with other strategies? Thank you.
That's an excellent question. I think, first of all, you have to face into what was really the incident and what have you done to correct it. And have you communicated to the customer that you have corrected it? And if it is a situation with a customer that one of your employees can handle by dealing directly with the customer, then that's the approach that you ought to take. And by satisfying that customer's requirements, and be prepared to encourage that customer to come back and test you again.
And how do we connect that with customer loyalty and the concept of keeping the customer?
Well, customers will come back. People don't like change, and they want consistency. They want quality and they want value, but they want consistency in the transaction. They want a transaction that is easy for them. And that's part of what the mindshare research can provide you, is what is that? What are those characteristics? And we'll talk a little bit more about this in the second segment, but there are a number of things that you can do in focusing in on customer quality and on customer expectations and identifying what those are. And by satisfying those, you're going to create a situation where the customer wants to come back.
Great, thank you. Next question is also faxed in from La Habana, Cuba. You mentioned CEMEX in your remarks. Do you think that this is a well-managed global company?
Yes, I really do. And I think CEMEX is a company that understands globalization better than many others. Their growth, large part of their growth, has come through the acquisition of other companies throughout the world.
And so how do you how do they actually manage all of these new acquisitions and developments as they go more and more global?
Well, they have their own values and standards of performance. They try not to change the management, not to change the methodology of the companies who have been acquired, yet they identify the key best practices of those organizations that can be used throughout all the CEMEX organizations. And if you were to go to England or you were to go to Israel or any other company where you'd see the CEMEX name, you would think that you were dealing with an English or an Israeli company.
I see. So it's local as well as global at the same time.
Correct. And that's what when I spoke earlier about the micro and macro approaches in the globalized economy.
Great. Thank you for your questions. Let's now move to the second module of our program.